Another episode of Marketing Unleashed show sponsored by Tailwind. I'm very excited to be here, as always, with the always super smart Elisa Meredith, and we've got some special guests coming later on today. But let us know where you're from down below, and here's what we're going to talk about today. Are you guys struggling with lingering questions about this whole fresh content thing on Pinterest? I know you are, because I've seen your comments. Are you wondering how to spend your time on Pinterest marketing today? Are you looking to make the most out of Tailwind to make life easier? Well, if so, then today's show is for you. I'm Jeff C. of Manly Pinterest Tips, and I'm here, as I mentioned, with my always awesome co-host, Elisa Meredith. Happy to have you all on. As we are going through today, we would love to try to take your questions, so drop those in down below. And we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, and you have something that really stands out to you, like do hashtag Tailwind tip. If you put that down in the comments and then kind of the tip that you think is really like super awesome, then we are going to be drawing for one of these awesome Tailwind selfie lights at the after the show is over. So make sure to do hashtag Tailwind tip and the tip as we're going along the show today. And as always, we want to try to take as many questions as we can, but we've got a ton of stuff.
We have a lot of questions.
Yes. We are going to, it's all questions today. So because of so many from you guys, I'm excited for this show. This is going to be a fun show. So.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So you're ready?
So yeah, I have 3 questions and answers that we haven't shared publicly anywhere yet. So these are like follow-ups.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but you know what? I want to tell people first, because this is important. We would love for you guys to go to bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. That's all lowercase, all smashed together. And new templates are out. It's awesome. You need to go get these. They're coming. There are new ones coming monthly. They're awesome. They look really, really cool. So make sure you go to bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. And you
now,
can
Jeff,
get that
I want to
free.
say something about this. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have them. You can get the collection by month. You can also get it by niche, and we have a form on there that you can suggest that, I'd like to see pins for my particular industry. So I saw quite a few requests for like teacher pay teachers or educational resource pins. So there are first time ever specific tool templates for teacher resources. So if you're in the education space, I mean, a lot of people can use them, but specific for you guys. So I actually do look at those form responses. So please let me know what you think. They're also a little different this month, because in the past I've been putting like the why we chose these elements or why this makes sense for this time of year in little notes on the Canva files. But I thought those are so easy to miss that I decided to put a big obnoxious blue box with the tip on it, so you can't miss it. And if you hate that, tell me. if you like it, let me know. But I thought don't really want to miss that part. So cool. Yeah, we're always changing things up. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, awesome. So let's go into this first question, and make sure you go get those. I'll leave that URL up so you guys can go grab that. But the first question for all this stuff, this fresh pin. So probably the $1 million question: what counts as a unique or fresh pin, and why are fresh pins important?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So fresh pin is an image that has not yet been on Pinterest. That's it. Easy. A fresh pin is an image that has not been on Pinterest. I'm saying it twice because in a recent webinar I was doing, I think as I was saying it, someone was saying, yeah, but what if, or what about? And it's like, no. Just very simply, it's an image that Pinterest has not seen yet, has not been on the platform. And the reason why it's important to share images like that is because Pinterest wants your fresh content. The reason they want it is because they were looking at how pinners were engaging with content in the feed, and they noticed that this fresh content that hadn't been seen before was getting a lot of engagement. So to make for a better platform, a better experience for everybody, that freshness or recency is now becoming more a part of the algorithm. So before it was mostly about relevancy, and you would see some really old content show up maybe over and over and over again. And now you're going to start to see recency and freshness become more of a part of that factor in what gets shown in your feed.
Interesting. So, um, the second question that I think that you get a lot of that we're going to talk about is
Yeah.
is it impossible for me to pin more than 25 or 50 times in one day? I mean, that's
Okay.
a goal that I think a lot of people, that people are trying. So what
Right, right,
is it
right.
impossible
And
for me
so
to do
this,
that?
no, no, no. So this is in reference to the Tailwind product. So I think we tried really hard to make everything clear, but I really feel like people heard or thought they heard no duplicate content ever, ever, limits, 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 when that wasn't the case. So it is true that as a guideline and as something we provide as just information, a lot of our successful members are pinning in that 15 to 25 pins per day range. That's not a limit. We are suggesting that you stay below 50. If for some reason, and there are legitimate reasons that you would want to pin over 50 times per day, because some people just have that much content, you can. So there is an override that you can select, and it will kind of disable that smart guide spam guard for you for a period of time. So you still are in control of how much you're pinning, and there certainly is not a limit of 15 or 25.
Gotcha. So you mentioned Smart Guard. So can you just kind of do a brief overview of what that is? Because if somebody's joining for the first time, they may not
Yeah.
understand what that term is and what it means.
Okay, so it's Smart Guide, and what it is doing is monitoring people's pinning activity. So it's basically looking at the amount of pins that you're sharing to Pinterest and looking for behavior that might possibly trigger a spam warning on Pinterest. So either maybe the algorithm might see it as spammy, or someone might see this behavior and flag you as spammy. So initially, that's the action that we're taking with Smart Guide and Spam Guard. Over time, it's gonna expand to become more of that guide to help you take advantage of the best practices and help you to keep up to date, because we know things are always changing. So this is a way to not really have to worry about it so much. Just kind of follow the suggestions and guidelines in Smart Guide, and you will be up with best practices. And so getting the best distribution for your content, which is, what we all want.
Right.
That and trying to, avoiding unnecessary risk of losing your account.
Right. Which is bad.
Which is really
You
bad.
don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no.
very cool. So what actually counts as a duplicate pin, and should I share them? So can you break down? So,
Yeah.
because I think there's this kind of confusion with a duplicate pin and then a repin.
Uh-huh.
There's some
Yep.
there's some differences between those two. Can you explain those?
Right. Well, first, Jeff, I want to ask you a question. What's a fresh pin?
Ooh, that's a good question. So me, a fresh pin is something brand new. So like when I
Yep.
create them for, let's say like Kim Garst, when she has a new blog
Yep.
post, a
Mm-hmm.
fresh pin is what I consider is a whole new image, a whole new, I usually try to change up the description, maybe even the title. It goes back to the exact same, blog post, but it's a different,
Okay.
entirely different image. So that's what I
Yeah.
say when I say fresh pins. Am I
Yes.
wrong?
No. Other than the fact that it's the image. So changing up the title description doesn't, won't make it a fresh image. It's the image itself. So the first question we had, and the one I think I've answered more than any other, is what is a fresh pin? And the answer is it's an image that Pinterest has never seen before. So you were mostly right. So then we need to define, like, what is a duplicate pin? So if a fresh pin is an image that Pinterest has never seen before, a duplicate pin is one that they have seen before. So when you save a pin to one board, the very first time, fresh. If you save a pin to another relevant board, it's duplicate. Okay. So a lot of people heard that as well and thought, ooh, does that mean I can't save my pin to other relevant boards? No, it does not. So you absolutely can. What really over time, we want to get into more creation over curation, but there is still value to sharing one pin to a few relevant boards. Sorry, my cat's shaking the camera. So Pinterest is suggesting no more than 10 for one image. And the reason for that really is you want to make sure it's actually relevant. It's not going to help you if you're saving a pin to an irrelevant board. So if you're getting to the point where it's like, but I have 15 boards where this is going to fit, you're probably better off to make a second image and really optimize that to keep it consistent with that other set of boards.
So did you explain what a repin is? Because
okay. Yeah, and I feel a little responsible for for this confusion. So a repin is when you are on Pinterest and you hit save, right? What comes from Tailwind is not a repin, it's a save. So at one point, I remember when we had just learned that, it's really not a good idea to repin your own images. So that meant, oh, okay, so I'll use Tailwind to send out a new version of that image, and it's not a repin. I mean, that is still technically true, but all of that is duplicate content, right? And when we repin our own content, meaning we go on Pinterest, hit the save button, we're like trying to kind of fake out Pinterest and tell them that, oh, this pin is super engaging. Well, they know it's you. They know it's your content because you've claimed your website. So that doesn't work. But you absolutely can share duplicate content. So people still want to share other people's content. That has almost certainly already been shared on Pinterest before, but it's fine. It's okay. It's very natural behavior. If you think about your own use of Pinterest, if you're tooling around on the internet and you see this article that you have to read, but you don't have time now, you're going to save that. And just because it's been saved to Pinterest before, that's not going to get you in trouble. It's not going to hurt the person who saved it the first time. It's actually a really good thing if other people are saving your content, because it tells Pinterest, oh, this is engaging, I should distribute it more. So we're not saying do not create duplicate content, do not pin again. We're saying try to shift some of your focus, some of your time to creating more, because that is what is really going to work.
So I want to bring up some comments here because some people, let's see, man, we got a ton of comments. Thank you, everybody. We've even got some viewers over on YouTube, and Laura goes, she goes, let me pull up the comment if I can hit the right button. Yeah. She goes, Jeff, we covered this. Fresh pin and image that's never been on Pinterest before. And I know, but listen, I'm asking.
He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't listen to me.
Because we get it. Well, and even Toto says Jeff wasn't listening. I'm asking because I'm seeing so many comments and I'm pressing all the buttons. So sometimes I may repeat a question just to make sure it goes through. But so we've got a ton of great questions. So let's continue with ours real quick. I want to let's go through our examples, and we'll come back and bring up some of these in the comments because I think you'll want to talk to them about some of this stuff. So what are some good ways to create more fresh pins? Do you have examples?
Oh, funny you should ask.
Yes.
I actually do.
You don't have
and
them,
I know
but
that you
have
them
bring
too.
Them up right now?
I was going to say yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's bring them up right now.
Let me pull them up right now. So this is some.
I think kind of a. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, you go ahead. I'll just sit here and press the buttons.
Just hit the buttons, would you?
Right. So what's the biggest difference between all these? Because this is what we were talking about before. It's all different images going back to the same piece of content, correct? Okay.
Yes. And this is related to a question that we get a lot, which is how different does an image need to be in order to be fresh, right? Is it enough if I just put a filter on the image, or if I just move the background image a couple of pixels? How
many pixels?
Like, yeah, exactly. How many everybody wants a number like that. So that's not the way to think about it, because even if you somehow fooled Pinterest to think it was a different image, you're not fooling anybody in the in the feed. And since Pinterest is saying, hey, look, we've noticed people really react well to these fresh images, then you're just cheating yourself, really. So make meaningful changes that create an obvious difference. So what I've done here is I've taken the same background image. So we didn't have to go out and reshoot this. I didn't shoot it to begin with. It was from Unsplash, I think. But just moving the focus, so changing the focus to like really zooming in on the coffee table with the stars, to kind of zooming out and seeing the more of the couch, and then over to the third one with the different painting in the cabinet, just a totally different feel. And then that one, like combining the cabinet and
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of the difference too is the text on image.
Right.
So it's similar, but it's not exactly the same.
So
And the treatment on the text is very different too.
So speaking of text, my friend Jim Alt asked this question: does the image include the text overlay? So so let's say you have the exact same image, one has a text
Mm-hmm.
overlay and one does not. Would that be considered a different image or a
Mm-hmm.
fresh pin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way to really think about that, and I've seen people doing this in Facebook groups, and I love it, is where people are like, "Is my image different enough?" And other people are saying, "Well, show us," because sometimes when you're in it, like I did the fourth one, and I sent it to Melissa for something else, and I was like, "I
Mm-hmm.
think this might look too much alike," and she's like, "No, it really doesn't." So show it to your friends because you're probably too close to see
Right.
the difference. And like if you saw these in your feed not that far apart, would one of them appeal to you over another one? Would it still draw your attention having already seen that other one? Like, does it look legit different? They do to me.
Right.
I'd be interested to see what
Yeah,
everybody
I think
else
so.
says. But
I just was wondering one of the things, like on this first one, the logo is
mm-hmm.
small, and I know people are going to pick up like, oh, but it's the same size in every other one. Is there a reason you did that? Does that, changing your logo size, is that enough of it to be considered a new image? I
Oh,
know you're going to get those
mm-mm.
questions. So,
Yeah. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. No, it's definitely not enough just to change like a logo size, or even like to copy the text and make it smaller, or even just to move the text from one, like the right to the left. That's not enough. It really has to look very different. So the only reason for the different logo sizes, totally honestly, is this. It just didn't look right.
gotcha.
Big on
Well,
that one. It
yeah,
was
but
just a design
I just
choice.
wanted to head off that at the pass
Yeah.
because it was like
I
people were
thank
like,
you.
I'll just move my logo, make it bigger or smaller, or move it,
Yeah.
in this corner, and then the next one I'll do it in this next corner, and that'll be four different images,
Right.
and that really wouldn't count. Correct.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think if Justine was here, she would probably point out that, some of the colors are a little different, but they've all been pulled from the image. So try to experiment with colors. I know a lot of people are very stuck on their branding. So they want the same font, they want the same colors all the time. But given this new reality where fresh pins really are appealing to people and
Mm-hmm.
becoming more engaging, and Pinterest is also starting to move those up in the search results, is really worth it to experiment a bit. And as long as you keep kind of the style similar,
Mm-hmm.
branding shouldn't be too much of a problem,
Gotcha.
I
And I
think.
know a lot of you guys are asking questions about Smart Loop, and we are going to get to that
Hmm.
in just a second.
Yep.
But we have right now our awesome insider at Tailwind headquarters who's going to bring us a Tailwind tip. So let me go and get him ready and all pulled up. And he is always awesome every time. So, Johnny, thank you so much for being here with us again.
You're welcome. I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah. So, what is your Tailwind tip for today?
Yeah, so I'm really excited to talk about this. This is a question that we get frequently in our customer success department. And we just really want to be able to communicate that to you all and let you know that we are there for you to help you every step of the way, even with these changes. And what we're going to talk about today is how to regenerate your smart schedule. So one of the things that we get questioned about a lot is, I want to reduce my pinning, to the 15 to 25 time slots per day. Some people don't know where to find that, so we'll go over that. Another question that we get is after you do change your schedule to the 15 to 25 per day or in that range, sometimes it doesn't look like the schedule automatically adheres to your new changes. So we'll discuss like why there is a little bit of a discrepancy at first, and then go into a little bit how to change that and make sure the schedule looks fresh and clean like you want it to. So Jeff, if you want to pull up the dashboard, we can get right into it. Great. So where you'll start, obviously you want to be in your Pinterest profile. That's the best way to make sure that you're not off track. But once you're there, we'll go down to the your scheduled tab in Publisher. So, yep. And then you'll see the your schedule tab that you can select. Thankfully, Tailwind is already in the 15 to 25 per day. So for this example, what you want to do is just click on the recreate schedule underneath where it says general queue. And it looks like it's got 15 per day right now. But we could just click recreate schedule. And that should prompt us to give us the opportunity to change how much we want to select at that time.
Johnny, do you actually want me to do it for real?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
just like it makes me a little nervous. You're your account here, so here we go. I'm going to click on it. Okay.
Cool.
And then just click
we can just bump it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you want me to bump it to?
Yeah, just 20 is fine.
Okay. And hit recreate schedule.
Hey, Johnny, how come it says? Wait, I have a question before we leave the screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for one thing, I want to just point out that green badge there. That's a smart guide badge that's telling us, hey, your pinning frequency is good. How come we're saying we want to post 20 times a day, and it's saying average time slot 24 per day on the left?
24 per day. Oh, that's showing you for that day, like what your average time slots are at currently. I believe that's what that's saying.
Okay. Cool. So why would I? I'm throwing these curveballs at Johnny just to get him. So why would I unclick this shift previously scheduled pins to fill in newly? Why would I unclick that? What would be a reason to do that for on that screen, right underneath?
Sorry, let me read that. Shifts previously scheduled pins to fill in. Oh, right. So you'll want to if you don't do that, basically what it'll do is it'll just leave your previously scheduled pins in like the way it is to condense your schedule. So what happens is it's like, say if you had like 25 pins scheduled per day, and then you don't click that option, and then you condense it to like 20 pins per day, basically. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but especially for those that like have locked pins, it won't actually move, and so that gives you the ability to condense your schedule from there, so that you don't have those unwanted time slots. But we'll get into a little bit of why that happens, just because there's a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and click the recreate schedule button then. We're doing it. Okay, here we go. All right. Cool. So if we go back to just like your drafts or scheduled tab, just so we can see what it looks like on the calendar grid. So scheduled pins will be fine. Okay.
Yeah, it might take a minute to load, but.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So from there, we should be able to see some additional time slots for the open, like that are open now. So this is where I wanted to specifically call out. Now on this page, you probably won't see it as like egregious as other accounts. But let's say if you had a lot of locked pins, especially like interval pins, a lot of people say they'll shorten or not shorten, but they'll decrease the amount of pins that they have. So they'll go from 25 to 20, and they'll wonder why their schedule isn't showing the correct amount of time slots. It looks like, oh, I have way more than I really wanted. And what happens there is those interval pins that are locked, Tailwind wants to make sure once it is a locked pin, it makes sure that it doesn't move. Right, so you have to either individually unlock those pins, or Tailwind can offer to, like our CS team will offer to bulk unlock those pins for you. And what that'll do is it'll allow you to then click in the fill-in time slots, and then it'll shift those pins into those open time slots, which will condense the schedule and get rid of those unwanted time slots. So another thing to keep in mind though, is by doing this, the intervals, the pins that were on interval timing will lose their interval pattern. So what that means is if you had pins, now those pins go into the open time slots, and you'll lose that pattern. So you'll want to make sure you either delete those pins or move them back to drafts so that they don't post too closely together.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah.
What a tip. Now I've got to rewatch that and figure out exactly what you said. Because that was some good stuff.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But it is super helpful
Yeah.
to know. And for those people that have like a lot of scheduled or locked interval pins, we do, like I said, we do offer to bulk unlock those. And it does take a little bit of work to tidy it up. But if it is something that you are looking forward to doing, especially in terms of getting your schedule into that 15 to 25 per day, even a little bit more than that, it is the best way to look fresh and clean. So I just wanted to share that with you all because it is something that we see a lot of, but it is something that really can help, especially just understanding why Smart Guide is there and how we can help you to be able to get to where you want to be to get to pinning properly.
Awesome. So you mentioned if you need
thank
help,
you.
like unlocking some things, how would the best way for those people to get in touch with somebody on support to help with that?
Right. So from your dashboard, I think there's an option to reach out to our CS team. And I don't know what it's exactly called, but you should be able to see if you need support. There's like a question mark or something like that, and it'll ping one of us. It'll get into our inbox, and then we'll reply as soon as we can to help you out. But all you have to do is all you have to ask is, can you bulk unlock my pins for me? And we'll take care of that as soon as possible.
Gotcha. So can you request special people, like if they really want you to help them? I mean, it's because that's what so anyway, Johnny, thank you so much for that breakdown and everything. And you guys, you're like the unsung heroes of Tailwind, but you guys are the ones who help us when we get in a pickle or in over.
And they're so nice.
Yes,
they're so
we appreciate
nice,
it very much. So thanks, Johnny. Have a great rest. What is today? Today is Thursday. Have
Thursday.
Take the day off. Whatever. Just go home. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, thanks, Johnny. We'll talk to you later.
I appreciate that.
Bye.
Take it.
Bye.
Bye.
He is always super smart. Yeah.
He is, and he's so nice and really wants to help. So yeah. Sometimes in the Facebook groups, I'll see like, oh, I'm so frustrated. I can't get this to work on Tailwind or this, and it's, you know what? That's what we have, a really fabulous customer success team, and they really want to help. So before you get frustrated, go ahead and write in. So it's in the Tailwind dashboard. There's a little question and you just hover over that. You can hit ask us anything, like anything you can ask.
So this is great. This is from Katarina. She goes, yes, Tailwind did this for me yesterday and super quickly too. And Sarah was so nice too. So it's not just Johnny.
Sarah,
there's a lot of good people over there.
Everybody's so great.
Very, very cool. So great stuff from Johnny. Let's dive into some more questions and some comments. So,
I do have one. I have one thing I wanted to clarify though. When we were recreating the schedule and we said we wanted 20 pins,
right?
And then over the little rectangle was saying, oh, that'll be 24. That is because I also have 4 pins going out from Smart Loop.
Gotcha.
So we were just recreating the general quick queue. Yeah. Ooh, okay.
So we got a lot of questions to that. So we'll bring those up in a minute. But by the way, if you guys are watching and you didn't hear this at the beginning of the show, there's some brand new templates out on our free templates that we have that Lisa has put together. You can find those at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. That's all lowercase, all smashed together. bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. So go check that out. More are coming soon, so you want to make sure you check on that because they're pretty spiffy, and we all need new fresh pins from what we're talking about today. So
we do, yes, we do.
So the next question we got is, what is Smart Guide? There's been people asking about Smart Guide, what it does, and how exactly is it going to help me? And you kind of mentioned before that it's going to, it's just rolled out, but there's going to be some more things coming down the road. So can you kind of break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah, so Smart Guide is right now, what it's doing is monitoring your pinning and flagging if anything that you're doing might reduce your overall distribution or reach, or possibly put your account at risk. And then if it spots anything like that, it's going to suggest easy fixes to help you kind of maintain a healthier habit of the way that you pin. If there's nothing, you'll probably just see kind of reassuring messages. Over time, it's going to grow and change. So it will help to keep you up to date with the latest Pinterest best practices, because we are working with Pinterest on an ongoing basis. and having regular meetings with them. So we have those to share, and we will share them. And Smart Guide is like how we will communicate that out. And kind of in connection with that, it's going to help provide like actionable recommendations that you can use to really improve your strategy, keep those healthy habits, and really make the most out of Pinterest for your business.
Very cool. Good explanation. I was taking notes
Thank you.
behind the scenes.
Oh, also, and some people ask if it costs extra. It does not. No, we want all of our members to get the most out of their Pinterest. So.
Oh, Katarina has a great comment that I want to bring up. She says, we were talking about this earlier. She goes, I've used some of these Tailwind templates from the last time, and they've done really well. So that's great to hear, Katarina. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, that's, Katarina. Catriona.
Oh, sorry. I will butcher names easily. So,
Catriona, if you would, I would love to talk to you about that. If you want to.
Yeah, we would love to showcase some of those examples
Please.
Of people.
Absolutely.
So we would love that. So very, very cool. The next question we have before we jump into some more, what happens if I pin a lot of duplicate pins? Will I get banned? I know this question's all the time because that was kind of the strategy. A lot of us would just repin a bunch of stuff, and it was kind of what we did for many, many years. So am I going to get banned? Is Pinterest going to throw me out? Is my Tailwind going to just lock up and mock me? What's going to happen if I do this?
I mean, we don't know all of the factors that go into why an account gets banned. There are many. But we do know that excessively sharing duplicate pins can put your account at greater risk. So posting the same photo every single day, multiple times a day, could be considered suspicious. And when that kind of thing happens, that's when you run the risk of having someone actually report you as spam. So like, it's not one thing that happens, but this is one thing we know contributes. So it's also kind of like a poor experience for your followers, who might unfollow you and never engage again. Might, again, like we said, might report you, or it could hurt your distribution. So that's why the focus here. I mean, we can't guarantee, because I mean, you could follow like to the letter of the law and do everything right and still get banned. But we're helping to reduce that unnecessary risk while educating so that you have the principles in mind to help keep your account safe and also more effective.
Very cool. And this was back when Johnny was here, but so he gave us some examples of how to do this, but what if we do need to reduce, like our pinning, like if we've done like crazy stuff, and Johnny kind of showed us how to, do we have to do that? I mean, do I need to adjust my queue of pins that are already scheduled? He showed us how to fix it. When do I need to know that I need to fix it? Well,
most people would have gotten an email by now. It's still kind of coming out in waves, but watch for that email, but also like, in various places in the dashboard, you'll see it. So if there's a problem, you won't be able to miss it. Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. And this is getting into this topic that a lot of people have questioned about. Are interval pins and board lists safe to use, or are they even still useful?
Yeah. So that's a great question. With your board, I'm going to tackle board lists first. So remember we talked about how it's important to save your pins to relevant boards. So you absolutely can share the same pin to multiple boards as long as they're relevant. So you might want to edit your board lists knowing that, because maybe they're a little too broad, but maybe they're not. So you can absolutely still make them work. And interval pinning is fabulous because, for example, like if you're going to create a new blog post or a new product listing, and let's say you create 3 new images for this one new piece of content, you probably don't want to send them all out on the same day. You probably want to space it out. You also know that you're going to send it to a few relevant boards. So that becomes a whole bunch of pins to keep track of, boards to keep track of, like, have I pinned it here? Have I pinned it there? Am I pinning too close together? So what you're going to want to do is use either board lists or just select the individual boards you want, and then use interval pinning to space that out a little bit. So I was having this conversation with Tina over at Simple Pin Media. I guess it was earlier this week or maybe last week. Like how close together to save them, these images to different boards, and it kind of depends on like what you're trying to achieve. So for me, when I publish a new piece of content, I kind of want to spread out the love. So I'll save the first image to the most relevant board that day, and then I'll save it to the next relevant board several days later. That second image for that same piece of content, I'm going to share a week after that first one. This is not a rule. This is just what I do because it seems to me that that might spread out the love. However, if you're trying to A/B test images, you might want to share those different versions closer together. Like, so pin 1 on day 1, pin 2 on day 2, pin 3 on day 3. There's like no right or wrong way to do that. And I hope that's not too confusing.
No, I think that was
How am I
good.
doing, Jeff?
So, no, it's
Does that
good.
make sense?
I mean,
Okay.
this is a lot of stuff, and that's why it's great that we're
It's a
doing this
lot,
live, but you
yes.
can also go back and
Yeah.
rewatch it, and we're going to actually chop up a lot of these questions, and then
Mm-hmm.
Tailwind is doing a lot to provide resources because there's a lot of questions about this, and this is changing
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of
Understandable.
strategies that we've kind of been baked in for years on how the way to do stuff, and it's kind of changing, and so that's why there's a ton of questions. So I really wish I had a sound effect set up because of this next question, because it's such a big that everyone talks about. It's like smart loop, boom, 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 something like that, or some like THX noise rumbling in the background. So can we still use smart loop while staying within all these new best practices?
Yes, you can. So this is something that we talked about with Lucy at Pinterest on the Facebook Live. So there are very valid reasons to surface that older content when if it's still relevant, if it's timely. So for example, like once a year is fine as long as it's still timely and relevant. So Smart Loop has always built in best practices from Pinterest as we communicate even more and more with them over time. These settings are already optimized. So if you haven't been in there in a while, you might want to go into your Smart Loop and just choose the recommended settings and you'll be perfectly fine. So another reason you might want to use Smart Loop is because as you accumulate more followers, it's possible they didn't see that pin the first time it came out. So you can send it out again to reach those new people. So it's absolutely fine. And it's one of those things that's like, oh, well, I can do that myself. Well, yeah, you can, but I don't like spreadsheets
Right.
and having to remember to do these things at the right time of year. Like, oh, this outfit pin always does really great in April. I'm not going to remember that next year, but I'm going to wish I had. So that's why Smart Loop it's still perfectly fine. And we have that video from Lucy. We actually, Jeff, I shouldn't say we, chopped up all that whole interview, question by question with Lucy from Pinterest. So it is on Tailwind's YouTube channel if you want, like, I know some people really like to get the answer direct from the source, which I totally understand. But it's all there if you want to hear it.
And you can't get more direct than from Pinterest itself. And that was so cool that we had somebody from Pinterest on. So we do have some questions that I want to pull from the audience. Okay. And this is one from YouTube. So thank you for all our YouTube viewers over there. This is from Mummy for the UK. Says, will tribes still be beneficial? Which is a great question.
Yeah. So I think this comes up because people feel like, okay, if I should try to pin fewer duplicates, does that mean I should never save anybody else's content? No. I mean, Pinterest is a place to share and save information. So that is a very natural behavior to share other people's content. So if you want to do that, that's fine. And tribes is a really great way to connect with other people in your industry who share your interests. I would just say, like, just remember to use it like a normal person. like sharing authentically, like, okay, my audience would like this, or even I would like this and I want to save it here so I can find it later. Like, just be smart about it. And I think that's really the theme of all of these changes, is just like act like a regular pinner, which I know we've been saying for a long time, but I think now we're getting like more incentive to actually do it, because this is what is going to work.
So what I have seen since this fresh pin content has, initiative come out kind of thing, on tribes, I'll see somebody and that they've done it because they've gone to Canva and they've created all these variations of their article or whatever, or their product, and they put them all at tribes at once. And so I'll see like 5, and I know it's going back to the same thing. So I'm assuming that's not a best practice. I would need to figure out a way to kind of trickle that out.
Yeah, I would say so too. And you can't currently schedule into tribes, which we have had several requests for that. I personally think they would be pretty cool too. But what I'm doing is instead, because I know that some of my same tribe mates are in more than one tribe. Right. So what I'll do is I'll share one pin to this tribe, one pin to this one. And so that way, when there is crossover, and I bet there is in a lot of people's tribes, they might see that one pin in one tribe, one pin in another one, and decide to share them both, which I'm good with that too. Or maybe they like one and not another one, and they wouldn't have shared at all if I hadn't seen it. It's just kind of spread it out.
Yeah, that's a great power tip right there. So we have some more questions. All right. And I want to go back and hammer this home one more time, is I want to bring Lisa's comment up, because I think it's, just to make sure everybody is on the same page. And she goes, what about Smart Loop? How is that content fresh? So would you consider putting that Smart Loop content is fresh content? It just depends on the way you use it.
It's not.
I mean,
it's not, unless you're serving it out of Smart Loop for the very first time ever, which most people don't do. No, it's not fresh. But that's okay. Like, some duplicate content is okay. So we've already talked about how it is beneficial to share your content to several or a few relevant boards. So that very first time it goes to the most relevant board is a fresh pin. When it goes out the next time to another relevant board, it's not a fresh pin anymore. Okay, because it's still giving important signals to Pinterest about what this content is. So it's very similar with Smart Loop and tribes. No, it is not fresh content. However, there are still benefits to using it.
Gotcha. That's great. Thank you for that question, Lisa, because we want to be as clear as we can. Alpa asked, so this is a question that there's a lot of questions about, like, frequency, and like, here's one. She goes, how soon is it, how soon to post all pins from a blog? Within a week, a month, or the same day? What are your thoughts on this?
This is one of those brand new official answers that we just got approved yesterday or the day before. So the question we originally asked was, do I have to worry about sharing 2 pins or more, like multiple pins to the same content too close together? So if I have, say, 5 images for one article, can I share them all out, even to the same board on the same day, or should I spread them out? Now, I've already said I like to spread them out. That is completely personal preference. The official answer is, as long as they are distinct, it doesn't matter. And you could share them all out at the same time to the same board if you wanted to. But you want to be mindful about how it's appearing to your followers in the following tab. And think about whether it's the same thing with tribes, right? If you share all your images into a tribe at the same time, you're not going to get the distribution and the engagement that you might get if you drip them out a little bit more. So yeah, you can share them all out, but it's probably better not to.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I want to bring up this because there are there people are here at all different levels, and some are just getting started on Pinterest, and maybe their first week on Tailwind. So this is a great question from Roger, and he asks, what exactly is an interval pin?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should define that. So when you use interval pinning in Tailwind, so anytime you have a pin in drafts in Tailwind and you add more than one board, you get that option for interval pinning. And what that means is, all right, I want my first pin to go out here, and then I want the second one to go out, and you can set the interval. So you might choose like 5 days or 7 days or even more. And so that's your interval pinning. And you can do the similar thing. So if it's going out to 9 boards, you can have them all go out, about 5 days apart if you want to. Then that way you don't have to think about, are they too close together? Am I not optimizing my opportunity for reach? I love that feature. I always have.
Very cool. Thank you for that explanation. I think it's just good because sometimes we marketers spit out this gobbledygook that nobody knows what we're talking about. So it's always good.
I know. I'm sorry about that.
No, I'm
Thanks
not.
for
I'm saying
calling
talking
that
to me
out.
too. But we need to bring it down because everybody's at different levels, and that's cool because we all add the question sometimes, like, what is an interval pin? So that's great. That was a great explanation. I do want to bring this, and I think you already answered it, but this was from another YouTuber, somebody who's watching on YouTube. She goes, her biggest struggle is how the time between different variants of a pin cover leading to the same post should be. How long do I wait for the second and third and fourth? And from what I understand, you saying that you like to space it out a little bit. And but the official answer is that you could put them all. You're not going to get, some algorithm smackdown if you do them all at once.
Nope.
Okay.
You're not. No. So I think especially like the conversation I was having with Tina, like they do a lot of A/B testing, like seeing which pin works better than another. And if you spread them out too much, there are so many variables going on that it would be hard to do that really well. So that makes sense for them to do it closer together. But I just personally like to do it a little spread out.
Right. This is a great question from Lorena. She goes, what is the ratio of our own pins versus repins? How many pins should we put for our own brand versus repinning others?
Yeah, so there's always that, what's the ratio? What's the rule? 80-20 rule. So there isn't really one. I would just say aim to increase your percentage of fresh pins over duplicates over time. And it is going to take time for these things to change, but yeah, just aim for more creation over curation.
Gotcha. This is from Mari. She asked this question about Smart Loop. She goes, how many Smart Loop pins per day? Did the suggestion, I know it changed, but I can't remember exactly what it is.
So it kind of depends on how much content you have in there. So if you wanted to go out like once or twice a year, if you have 5,000 images in there, that's going to take up more of your queue. But again, we really want to get to the point where we're putting out more fresh content over time. So I wouldn't try to sort of fill every spot with Smart Loop, because unless you're putting fresh pins in there, which you're probably not, use it wisely, but don't try to max it out just to get more pins out, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes total sense. I know we've been singing their praises all day, but I do want to bring up this comment from Jennifer because they are awesome. She goes, Tailwind tip, customer support will happily help you with anything they can. Just ask. That is so true. I hope you saw how helpful Gianni was. They're there for you, and they live to serve. So, they're awesome.
They're just so nice. Yeah.
So let's see. This is a great question from Kim that I want to bring up because I want to know this answer too. She goes, how has Tailwind changed its own pinning strategy recently? It would be great to see a few examples of actual strategy. Any tips for using intervals versus Smart Loop, which we've kind of covered already. But how does Tailwind change its own pinning strategy? I know you're kind of in charge of that, so I would love to know.
Yeah, so we have changed it. We've started creating quite a few pins for every article that comes out. So that's the biggest change that we've made. Yeah, that's the biggest one. And I'm working on a blog post right now about how to work this all into an actual practical strategy, and demonstrating how it would work if you have, say, one blog post per week. So I was trying to get that done before today. I'm sorry I did not, but it will be coming. So you can kind of picture how this would work with your own content. But that's the biggest change that we made, is to try to get more fresh content into our queue and onto our account. And it is working, by the way.
Well, of course. Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I know if you're in charge of it, of course it's going to work. So,
Oh, naturally.
Toto asked this question, which I thought was really a good one. He goes, does Pinterest make a difference between the original pinner and a repinner? If someone repins 20 times my pin, is that bad for him and for me?
Right. Okay. Very good. So we've heard this one quite a bit, and it's not bad for you. So if the same person is repinning your pin 20 times, that's not great for them, right? I don't know why they would do that anyway, because it's not bringing them any traffic, right? But it does not hurt you. Like, they know it's your content. They're probably not counting all 20 repins as engagements on your content. They're probably figured out that it's one guy.
A super fan.
A super fan. But if we change that question just a tiny bit and said, okay, there are 100 people who have repinned my pin, and am I going to get in trouble for that? No. You want people to save your content in a genuine kind of way. That gives Pinterest signals that your content is engaging, and they should increase the distribution of that content. So that kind of thing is beneficial. And of those 100 people who are repinning your pin, does that hurt them? No, it does not. And
that's why Tribes is still good, because I mean, you want other people saving your content. So that was a great question. And this is kind of on the same line, and this is from Danine, I think. She asked this question. She says, is pinning from others' websites considered fresh? Is it better to pin from the website versus a repin directly on Pinterest?
Okay, we're going to try this again. Jeff, what is a fresh pin on Pinterest?
Something with a totally new image.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so if you're pinning from someone else's website, chances are they've already pinned it. So that's not going to be fresh. So it really doesn't matter when it comes to other people's content if you save from their website, or you save through Tailwind, or you save on Pinterest. It's great. It's giving engagement signals to Pinterest that content is good. Maybe your audience will like it. Maybe you'll go back and read it. Like, this is natural behavior, but it's not going to be fresh. And I think it's just repeat that. Just because something is not fresh doesn't mean you can't save it.
Gotcha. That's a great point. Very, very cool. This is a great. We've thrown around the big scary B word a lot this in this live, and Nikki asked, when one gets banned, can they appeal it? Yes,
and you should. Like, if you don't think you were doing anything wrong, yeah, you absolutely can. And I've seen many people who've been restored. Yeah, so and we get a lot of questions about that too.
Because I've never been banned, and knock on wood, I never will.
Yeah.
What is the process if you are banned? I mean, do you just get an email, or do you just show up and then, like, my site's not there anymore? I mean, I've never had that happen. So what is the process for that?
It's never happened to me either. It happened to a previous client of mine, and I just happened to notice because I clicked on one of his pins and it said, oh, this website is blocked. So there are a couple different kinds of ways you can be banned. But with any of them, you just email support, Pinterest support, and you're probably going to get an automatic reply that says, oh, sorry, we banned you and we're not going to restore you. But if you keep asking nicely, right. A lot of times that works. And people will ask us all the time, can you get me restored? And we can't. All we can do is say, keep trying nicely.
Yeah, those are great tips, because hopefully no one ever gets banned, but it does happen. And
it does happen.
It's not fun. So Terry has this comment to say, and it's a Tailwind tip, and I'll pull that up.
Okay.
She goes,
cool.
Tailwind tip: if you have an opportunity to do a live video call interview with Tailwind as part of their research, say yes. Samantha helped me while I was helping her. So that's really cool that they dive in from real users and try to get the thing. So
yeah, we do that a lot. Yeah,
that is great to hear, Terry. I appreciate that. Got some other questions here. Let's see. From this is from Steph. She goes, maybe we've been a little too vague on this, but it was how many pins is quite a few pins? What would you consider quite a few? Like when we're scheduling?
The context was.
Yeah.
Is that in the context of how many to create for each piece of content? I think what I'm hearing people say is between 3 and 5, but I've heard people doing more. I think as long as each pin is distinct and adds different value and different focus, my goodness, go crazy. Why not? As long as they're genuinely fresh. There were a couple of questions that I really wanted to make sure we got to, because I was asked them in a group, and we got the approval to share the answers. So real quick, a lot of people have a workflow where they share a pin to a secret board first, and then they share from there out to the other boards. And the question was, if you share to a secret board and then share it out of there, or share it again to another board after that, is that a fresh pin? The answer surprised me. The answer is no. It's no longer fresh. So that's going to change people's workflow, a lot of people's workflow. What I would suggest, instead of saving it to that secret board first, put everything in drafts in Tailwind and share it out of there instead.
Gotcha.
The last question that we got, okay, was about video pins. A lot of people asked about, how do I make a video pin fresh? Can I change the cover image and have it be seen as new? Nope. It has to be an entirely new video. So I know people are like, oh, how can I do that? That video takes so long to create. I can't possibly make more video content. Yes, but neither can anyone else. So there's a whole lot less competition in the video pin area. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, because everyone has the same constraints as you do. Well, most everyone.
Very cool. So yeah, so those are some questions that I didn't see, but yeah, I'm glad that you brought those up, because the video pins thing I think is really important, because I still think that's going to be using. So here's a great question. Yeah. This is from Lorena. She asked this. Okay. She goes, last question. Yeah, there's going to be more questions, I know. If you're using the templates you provided, or similar templates for our pins, aka more people are pinning them, does that count against fresh content?
So with the templates, there's an assumption that you're going to change things in it. So a template really is a place to start. So you're going to pull it up and you're going to change the background image right there. That is no doubt going to make it look very different from the template. You're probably going to, in most cases, you're going to change the text on image. You're going to probably change colors around. The logo is going to be different. By the time you get done with it, it should be a completely different image. Now, we've had some people say, I tried to use it, and when I downloaded it, it wanted to charge me money. Well, that's because they are using the same background images from Canva, and they were paid images. Like, no, you've got to change them out. But I think most people change them out.
Gotcha. And if you want those templates, don't forget to go to bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit, all lowercase, all smashed together. I do want to bring up, we're at the end of our time. Thank you guys so much for all the great questions. Oh my gosh, so many good ones. But I do want to bring this. This is from Tess over on YouTube. She says, I gotta hit the button right. She says this. She says, I've gone from 0 to 307,000 monthly views on Pinterest in 2 months. So I just want to say thanks, Tailwind. That's awesome, Tess.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
Thanks,
that is really
Tess.
cool. Thank you for sharing with that. We would love to. I'm sure that we'll follow up in the comments, because that's a great case study for us. But thank you guys so much for watching and for listening. And don't forget to grab these awesome templates we have at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. And with that, Elisa, I will let you have the final word.
Oh, you're so kind. I would really love to see some of the pins that you're creating with the toolkit. So if you wanted to share links to those, please do. Love to check them out, because I bet they're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
With that, we thank you guys so much for watching. We will talk to you guys all next time. And make sure if you're watching this as a replay, you can still ask your questions. And people like Johnny are going to jump right in there and try to help you out as much as possible. With that, have a great rest of your week and weekend. Bye now.
Bye.